इहाँ रामचरण पंकज उरधर हो। कौतुक एक भालु कपिकर हो। धावहु मरकट विकट बरो था। आनौ विकट गिरिन के यो था। हाँ सुनि कवि भालु जले करि हो। जय रघुवीर प्रताप समूहा। Now, my dear friends, we are leading you into the sights of constructing the bridge by Sri Ram. You naughty monkeys, from today, whatever stones you may throw in the water will never sink. They will just float. The rishis were tired of the mischievous playing of the two Vanara kids. Every day they came and jumped on the trees and ran everywhere, playing with the deers and crows and lions of the ashram. That was tolerable, but whenever the rishis were busy, Nal and Neel used to pick up their worshipful deities and throw them into the ponds and rivers. That was unbearable. When the same mistake was repeated 3 times, the rishis cursed the twins, thus solving the problem. The same curse proved to be a boon, for when the time came, the twins became the greatest engineers of the Vanara civilization. We will bridge the ocean. There was great enthusiasm among the Vanaras. Null and Neel flew all around and inspected the whole area from the air and returned to Sri Ram surrounded by all the Vanaras. My lord, I am very happy to examine the place. I believe the minimum width of the bridge to accommodate our army would be 80 miles. This was the distance from Kanyakumari, where Sri Ram was standing, to Rameswaram, where he inaugurated the bridge with the worship of Bhagavan Shiva. Okay. Today we are late, so we can only construct 112 miles of the bridge by evening. I assure you that every day we will be quickening our speed. I am very sorry, my lord, that since most of the bridge materials have to be brought from the Himalayas, I will need 5 days to complete a bridge 800 miles in length and 80 miles wide. Nal and Neel conveyed their further plans of construction to Sri Ram. All right, but what about the materials? Sri Ram said, looking all around, my dear friends. If we use all the nearby mountains for bridge material, the whole south of India will be turned into desert very quickly. The Himalayas have 125,000 hills extending from Shanghai to Spain all the way. I guess, I guess that would serve our purpose without harming the punctuality of the cycle of the 6 seasons for the whole country. So, Lord, allow me to go to the Himalayas, Hanumanji pleaded. I am engineering 1000 powerful. I am engaging 1000 powerful wanderers who can leap and travel through space carrying 5 mountain peaks at once. They all will pick up mountains and bring them here under your direction, King Sugriva said to Hanumanji, my dear friends. five mountains, not one after another, five mountains, they will be carried through space. All of them flew like spaceships towards the north at fastest speed. Some weak wanderers were sent to bring nearby mountains and rocks and huge trees and other things. Then Nal and Neel worshipped Ganeshji and laid the foundation stone. Very soon they saw that the slabs and mountains did not sink in the water but floated. However, the turbulent and mighty waves of ocean dispersed the mountains, not allowing them to remain fixed in one long chain. All wanderers began to ponder what to do. Nal meditated on the answer. He picked up one mountain and wrote Ra on it and left it in the ocean. He then took the next mountain and wrote Ma on it and gave it also to the dancing waves of the sea. Surprisingly, everyone saw those two mountains automatically joined together. It became Ram. All the wanderers sang and danced in ecstasy, and they found a formula of new miracle, my dear friends. Now all 10,000 wanderers began to come from the Himalayas with mountain tops, and they would write Ra on the one and Ma on the other. Then they were handed over to the Neel and Nala's expert hands, which began to work like fastest machine. Every two mountains on which Ram was written began to combine into a stronger force than even cemented ones, my dear friends. The magnetic pull of Ra and Ma joined all the mountains together. Only pairs were being joined together with other pairs and their peaks leveled up. Innumerable wanderers were working on the construction under Nal and Neel, and more than 1,000 were constantly bringing mountains from far and wide. Intense activity, big Karma Yoga was going on. Amidst all the activities, Sri Hanumanji's eye suddenly fell upon a tiny little creature. It was Chipmunk, and he was taking a dip in the sea and getting thoroughly wet, then coming to the beach and rolling and plastering the soft clay all over his body. Then he went to the bridge and shook his body, and clay fell upon it. Then he would again take a dip, plaster his body, and pour it on the bridge. He was very busy doing this. Hanumanji was surprised to see this soft, tiny soul here. He was in great danger because he would be stepped on or crushed at any moment by any of the innumerable wanderers running here and there between spaces and earth with huge mountains and trees and rocks. How had he remained alive? Hanumanji picked him up and setting him on his palm asked in his own language, "Why have you come here? There is nothing for you to eat on the bridge. Don't go on it." And the chipmunk said, "Is this bridge yours or Sri Ram's?" The tiny little soul asked angrily, dashing his tail back and forth. "Of course it belongs to Sri Ram, but we are his servants," Hanumanji declared. "Sri Ram is the Lord of the universe," the little fellow said very strongly. "Each and every being of the universe has his duty to perform, and therefore each one of us has that right and the freedom to perform service for him and to be in serene satisfaction. What service would you do in this large scale activity? Oh, little soul, what can you do? You can only be ground under the heavy soles of the Vanaras, and Vanaras will crush you by his foot. Mm, Please don't pollute the purity of the bridge by getting your blood smeared upon it, Hanumanji said. Don't you see how soft are the feet of Bhagavan Sri Ram, like lotus petals? The bridge is so rough and uneven. Cannot you imagine how sharp those bricks and stones are, and how they would pinch his soles, and how his lotus feet would shrink in pain? His peach showering, uh, shooting smiles would disappear if you call yourself his servant. Then how could you bear it? I am only paving the bridge with clay and sand to it. It won't hurt his feet. Hanumanji's heart was deeply touched by this tiny soul, and he gracefully and lovingly looked at him. His body was still wet, and the sand was mixed in with his fur, my dear friend. But very soon you may die by dipping in the water again and again. Then how will you be of service? Hanumanji asked the little soul. You may be immortal, but not I. If my body were ground under the feet of any of Sri Ram's servants, then I would be fortunate and my body would be sanctified. What greater privilege could there be than that? I have to die some day and the body has to fall, but is there a place where he is not? That omnipresent, all pervading, all inclusive Bhagavan is residing everywhere. Anywhere my body falls, it will be on his lap. Then why should the bridge be impure with my blood? The chipmunk said, dashing his tail against Hanumanji's palm and raising his head confidently, my dear friends. Hanumanji considered him very great, and this sent him into deep thought. What is the value of material things, and great work is under uh, in order to satisfy Bhagavan Sri Ram? Mm, mm, Is he not satisfied only with a strong determination and a bold stand to do something beautiful for him? Does he care whether something is completed or not, or whether a golden or clay spoon is used? Are not all these huge performances in the name of spirituality just the glamours of sentimental people, people who are playing games of spiritual romance? He is satisfied just by offering something nice to him, doing something beautiful for him. God has never declared what he likes or doesn't like. Then why do people project their own concoctions in his name? Hanumanji stood silent, absorbed in thought. His attention was diverted when a smiling Sri Ram came and stood in front of Hanumanji. Sri Hanumanji saw how very gracefully and lovingly Sri Ram was looking at the tiny little chipmunk standing on his palm. And Sri Ram then took him into his own palm, which was red and soft like lotus petals. The chipmunk sat silently, and then, though out of great joy and transcendental wonder, he began to sniff the palm of Sri Ram. I am very much satisfied with you, Sri Ram said to the chipmunk in his own language, and began to pass his tight palm over his back. The right palm. He began to pass his right palm over his back, chipmunk's back, which was instantaneously marked with lines, which can still be seen on the backs of all the generations of the chipmunk, my dear friend. Now you don't trouble yourself anymore because while crossing the bridge, Hanumanji will take me on his shoulders. You just abide in my planet and enjoy my love. Sri, Sri Ram blessed the chipmunk. Sri Ram and Hanuman began to watch the construction of the bridge. It was almost evening and bridge was now 112 miles long and 80 miles wide. Sri Ram patted the back of the twin brothers and ordered them to take a rest, my dear friends. The next day, Nal and Neel extended the bridge up to 272 miles. The third day, it reached 440 miles. The fourth day, it went up to 616 miles. The fifth day, 184 miles more, and then the bridge was completed. Sri Ram and King Sugriva became very happy to see the bridge, which was 80 miles wide and 800 miles long, resembling a necklace upon the chest of the ocean. Mm. So, those days, my dear friends, what is called now Lanka was known as Single Dweep, and Lanka was far away in the ocean, in the middle of the ocean, 800 miles away from Rameshwaram. Okay, so we can conceive of hanging bridge, a suspension bridge, but this was a bridge of floating rocks made by a chemical reactions through the power of Sri Ram's holy name. By the power of holy name of Sri Ram, the inaccessible ocean of the problems and sufferings of the world can be easily crossed in comparison with that. This ocean was insignificant, it was all just Ram's Leela, Ram's play to establish the faith of suffering creatures in his holy name. It was all beautiful, extremely attractive, made of multicolored mountain parts and rocks and stones with artistically grown flowers, mm, and fruit bearing, even trees were there, and wide roads. And in the joints of the pairs of mountain parts, Nal and Neel had planted huge white trees, my dear friends, with fruits. Also, on both sides the bridge, huge trees stood with multiple flowers, which were showering flowers and leaves into the ocean. It appeared as if the ocean was offering a long garland to receive Bhagavan Sri Ram, welcome Sri Ram. Actually, the bridge resembled a rainbow, my dear friend. When Sri Ram saw that the bridge was completed, he immediately ordered the wanderers to fly in all directions over Bharatavarsha and tell those wanderers who were bringing more mountains just to put those mountains down wherever they were at that moment. Thus, innumerable mountains from different places were placed at random in South India, my dear friends. We find this even now. Hanumanji received this message when he was in the vicinity